Hello everyone, I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing latest Telltale games, Transformers, and more. Welcome back to another Transformers EarthSpark review, and also happy EarthSpark Day, because today, November 11th, marks the official world premiere of Transformers EarthSpark, with the first 10 episodes having been released today on Paramount+. The first 2 episodes, Secret Legacy Part 1 and 2, are actually available right now for free if you want to go on the official Paramount Plus YouTube channel. They have the first 2 episodes on there, so while the first half of the pilot was released on the UK Nickelodeon channel about a few days ago, the full first and second episodes of EarthSpark Season 1 are available now for free on YouTube. And so this is what this video will be covering. We'll be covering the second half of the first episode of EarthSpark, which is Secret Legacy Part 2. And compared to Part 1, I think Part 2 does a lot better job of not setting up just Twitch and Thrash, but gives a lot of cool action scenes and stuff that I really enjoy. And so I'm super excited to talk about it all. If you're excited as I am, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe. Let's go ahead and tell everything right that the premiere of EarthSpark did. Now, Episode 2 of EarthSpark Secret Legacy Part 2 picks up immediately where Secret Legacy Part 1 left off, with Megatron arriving on the bridge where Dot, Optimus, and Alita were, and he grabs her and just stares at her menacingly. But as I mentioned back in that review, and as was spoiled by the New York Comic Con trailer, this is just some sort of inside joke between Dot and Megatron, with Dot just brushing off as nothing, and her and Megatron do this salute that they give to each other. Shows that they have like a relationship together in the past, and they're all working together to try and figure out what's going on. And it's at this point where Megatron explains that he does work for Ghost alongside Optimus and Alita. And while this doesn't happen immediately, in a later scene with Dot and Megatron, it's actually Megatron who talks to Dot, trying to tell her to give Optimus a chance, saying that it was because of him that he saw the errors of his ways and wanted to become an Autobot and help him and Alita with stopping all the rogue Decepticons that are still on Earth. And that's something that I did not expect, that Megatron would just so willingly vouch for Optimus. Part of me was still on the fence that, oh, this is just some ulterior motive that Megatron's doing to serve him himself. And maybe there'll be a point where he does betray, maybe like he feels conflicted about it, because there are times later in this season, after having just seen all 10 episodes, that Megatron does feel conflicted about working with Ghost. But you can see he actually does trust and respect Optimus a lot. He knows that Optimus is doing the right thing here, and that the two of them together can do a lot better than they were fighting each other. So because of this, Dot reluctantly agrees to go along with Megatron and help Optimus and Alita with their new job as a Ghost undercover agent. And I gotta say, shout out to Benny Latham, the voice of Dot, and Rory McCann, who voices Megatron. I was so excited to finally hear Rory McCann as Megatron in EarthSpark, like, completely without, just one-line words. And Rory McCann does a great job as him. He does have, a little hint of his Scottish accent that he gives to Megatron. And but it's so subdued, and he speaks with such a powerful tone that he sounds commanding, but not threatening, let's say Frank Welker's Prime Megatron. I think Rory McCann does a great job as Megatron, taking his own spin on the character, and I'm super excited to see how he progresses throughout the rest of this season. So while Optimus, Alita, Megatron, and Dot are just surveying the bridge, it's at this point where Optimus actually pulls up with his trailer, his trademark trailer from G1, which opens up to reveal several quadrotor drones that were apparently, according to him and Alita, designed by Wheeljack to trace Cybertronian activities. So he and Alita send the drones out to go ahead and look for what exactly caused the destruction on the bridge. And that cuts back to Robbie and Mo with Twitch and Thrash, who were back at the homestead, just learning about how to be Transformers and all that. So we get this really cute moment where Robbie's teaching Twitch how to use her blaster by throwing rocks at her in hopes that it will activate her defense mechanism, which it does. And meanwhile, just Robbie and Mo and Thrash are just playing around, when Twitch is trying to figure out how to get her own alt mode, like the Transformers that Alex had told Robbie and Mo about. So it's at this point that Twitch sees a squirrel in a tree and tries to scan it, but of course, since it's a squirrel, it doesn't really do anything. But then that's when she actually sees the drone instead that was sent by Optimus and Alita unbeknownst to them. So Twitch climbs up, not knowing what it is, and scans it, and it unintentionally, and that causes her to freak out and fall out of the tree. But before she can crash on the ground, she transforms in mid-air into her drone mode, and that she gets all her new armor and stuff. And I really like this design for Twitch. I love how they show her as in her performer, and then switches to her drone mode. I absolutely love it. So Thrash is all jealous now that Twitch has her alt mode while Thrash still doesn't, and Mo reassures Thrash though by saying that they're going to go into a Witwicky and try and scout out in alt mode for him, which is at this point when the drone, I think the drone tries to attack Twitch and Robbie, but Twitch ends up destroying it just to protect them. So eventually Optimus and Aaliyah realize when all the drones return that the one that Twitch destroyed didn't, but they just think it was just a glitch in the programming by Wheeljack, so they just dismiss it and decide to keep looking around for Robbie and Mo and everyone. This then takes us following Mo and Thrash into Witwicky, where they're on top of a building scouting out potential alt modes for Thrash, where Mo encourages him to pick the one that he wants to be the most. And there's something that's very, it's so minuscule here, but I feel like it's gonna make a lot of people happy that I'm really happy to see. And it's when Thrash is scanning all these things. He scans like a scooter, he scans a minivan, and he scans all this other stuff. One thing he scans though is like a baby's carriage. But the thing is, it's a very blink and you miss it shot. It's only on the screen for maybe like 2 seconds. But you can see it's clearly a gay couple with the baby too. And again, it's super like background, like literally probably 90% of people won't even notice this, but the fact that they were just that the EarthSpark development team was like the people at Icon Entertainment and Nickelodeon were so okay with putting a gay couple even in the background of this show. I think that's just so cool to see how far we've come in Transformers. I mean, granted, in the Transformers comics, we've now had a lot of LGBT characters, most notably characters like Ratchet, Drift, Lug, Anode, and so on. But to see that in an actual Transformers cartoon, granted, it's just two nameless dudes with their child, but still, especially though this ties to something that's going to come up in the last episode of this little 10-episode mini arc in this season. But I'll get to that in my episode 9 and 10 review later on down the line. But it's just cool to see again that Nickelodeon and Hasbro are cool with showing more LGBT representation in Transformers, which I'm really happy to see. But anyway, Thrash isn't happy with any of the alt modes that he's been seeing, and Mo confides in him saying that it can be hard to choose like a reliable vehicle, where she talks about her bicycle, Rosentane, I think it's called, something like that, Rosen something, and that's the bike that she was riding with Robbie back in episode 1, but was destroyed when all the Arachnomechs attacked them on the bridge, and she says that she wishes she could have a bike like that one again. But so while Thrash and Mo are getting ready to head back home, they actually get attacked by more Arachnomechs, which Mandroid had sent out earlier to scout out for them upon learning about them from the energy reserves that or the surveillance footage that he saw back at the cave with the stone that gave birth to Twitch and Thrash. So the Arachnomechs attack Robbie and Mo and Thrash, and they're able to hold them off for just a bit until actually it's Robbie and Twitch who end up sensing that Mo and Thrash are in trouble, so they head into the city to save them. And while they're all getting ready to head out, like about half a dozen more Arachnomechs come in from the walls and all the roofs surrounding them to try and corner them and kidnap them. However, they're fortunately saved by Alita, who is there with Optimus, Megatron, and Dot. And that's when the big explanation comes in, where we saw a clip of this, or a screenshot of this, all the way back in February. It's the one of Dot talking to Robbie and Mo with Twitch and Thrash in the background. This is what that scene's from. So Robbie and Mo are explaining like Twitch and Thrash and how they found them to Dot, and while she says that she's glad they're okay, they can't keep Robbie and Mo, that they're safer in Ghost hands. So with Optimus's approval, Dot lets Optimus, Alita, and Megatron take Twitch and Thrash into a ghost transport that's going to take them somewhere safe where they believe they'll be taken care of. But however, Twitch and Thrash and Robbie and Mo don't want this at all, despite sort of Optimus and Dot forcing this on them. And that leads to this really cool and like heartfelt scene later on where Twitch and Thrash have actually, or not Twitch and Thrash, Robbie and Mo have head back home with Dot and Alex. And it's at this point where basically Alex is wondering like why didn't Robbie and Mo tell him and Dot about Twitch and Thrash, when it's at this point Robbie states that basically he didn't want to move to Witwicky, like as we saw him say back in episode 1, but at the same time Mo agrees as well that no one asked her or him about wanting to move to Witwicky, and they all just did because Dot got the new job. So it feels kind of selfish that Robbie and Mo just had to give up their whole social life and all their friends back in Philadelphia to go move to Witwicky. And basically, when they found new friends in forms of Twitch and Thrash, Dot and Optimus took them away from them. And it's at this point where Dot sort of sees the error of her actions when she gets a call from Optimus, or Optimus just comes to see them and reveals that actually the ghost convoy that took Twitch and Thrash wasn't actually Ghost, but Mandroid and a bunch of Arachnomechs posing as ghost soldiers. So basically, Twitch and Thrash are unknowingly being kidnapped by Mandroid. So Robbie, Mo, Alex, Optimus, Megatron, Alita, and the rest of the Maltos work together, head out to go ahead and try to save Twitch and Thrash from Mandroid. The story then shifts to Twitch and Thrash, who are unknowingly being sent to Mandroid and not a ghost base. And so they get introduced to Mandroid, who actually just tries to pose as an ally or just someone who's curious in them and their origins. So he invites Twitch and Thrash in, where he basically has them scanned and concludes that they're not exactly Cybertronians, and he dubs them as Cybertronia Terran, which is then adopted by Twitch and Thrash, and they become officially known as Terrans. And at this point, we're actually Thrash, of all people, gives Mandroid his name, where his real name is Dr. Meridian, but Thrash keeps jokingly calling him Mandroid because of the fact that he's got Hardtop's arm, so he considers himself half man, half android, so therefore Mandroid, which Mandroid, of course, obviously is not fond of. And when Twitch and Thrash decide that they've had enough of this and want to leave, it's when Mandroid straps them all down into like these operating tables and is going to like forcefully dissect them to see if he can learn any clues into like Cybertronian physiology and find better ways to eliminate them. Fortunately for them though, Optimus, Megatron, and Alita come in guns blazing to save them alongside Dot, and I absolutely love this fight scene with Optimus, Alita, Megatron, and Dot versus Mandroid's Arachnomechs. The fact that they've got one thing I also really love here is the fact that every character in EarthSpark seems to have a musical motif, and I'll talk about this more in my review of episode 3, but I just want to mention a few of them now. Like, later on in this episode, whenever Twitch and Thrash throughout the season are the main characters, it's either Twitch and Thrash, Robbie and Mo, we have this sort of ethereal, almost Minecraft-y music that sounds very, like hopeful and stuff. That, I guess it actually makes sense considering the whole thing was Legacy of Hope that was told in the cave by the mysterious rock. And meanwhile, with more of the generic good guys like Optimus and Alita, you have more this triumphant, like, synth horn, cyberpunky sounds that is really, that it just sounds triumphant because you know Optimus and Alita are these like legendary Autobots, and it's cool that that music plays when they're in the focus. But I obviously think the best music is definitely Megatron's, which sounds like if Optimus and Alita's is more so like influenced by Cyberpunk, literally Megatron's theme sounds like something ripped straight out of Cyberpunk 2077. It's heavy funk music with just the heavy bass line, and it sounds absolutely awesome. Like, I just get so excited anytime Megatron's theme starts playing in this show, and it's so good when all of them are just fighting all these Arachnomechs, and when Mandroid's on the losing end, when Twitch and Thrash are about to be freed by them all, he ends up calling in Insecticons and Hardtop, which have all been brainwashed by him to do his bidding. This also includes Skullcruncher, who I talked about in an earlier video a few weeks back. So Skullcruncher, the Insecticons, and Hardtop, which are all brainwashed by Mandroid, attack everyone else. And this leads to quite a few scenes where actually once Twitch and Thrash are freed by Dot, I believe, Twitch and Thrash actually help out a lot in the fight as well. Twitch, with her all mode, destroys a lot of the Arachnomechs and buys time for the Autobots to deal with some of the Insecticons, while Thrash ends up actually saving Robbie, Mo, and Alex when Skullcruncher ends up coming in and turning into the algorithm and biting down on Alex's car and throwing it into the air. But before it crashes on the ground and explodes, Thrash actually catches it and manages to set it down before Skullcruncher shoots Thrash in the chest and knocks him down into this pit. And we don't really see much of it, but Thrash is clearly injured by it and reaches out to a ruined or wrecked motorcycle, and that's where Thrash gets his alt mode, which he comes out full of energy and actually knocks out Skullcruncher and saves Alex saves Alex and them from Skullcruncher. And it's at this point when Robbie and Mo leave to join Twitch and Thrash in a fight. They're all doing their own thing, and so but Alex just staying in the car trying to be safe when one of the other Insecticons ends up attacking Alex, getting ready to blow up the car, when all of a sudden that Insecticon's shot by Bumblebee, who has just appeared out of nowhere, presumably answering a distress call sent by Optimus and Alita before they arrived at Mandroid's base. So eventually, though, Optimus, all the Autobots, and all the Maltos end up defeating Mandroids, Decepticons, and Arachnamechs, but Mandroid manages to escape. After that, Skullcruncher, the Insecticons, and Hardtop all end up being broken out of their brainwashing by Mandroid, but are still arrested by Optimus, Megatron, and Alita, and a Bumblebee after, and sent to be in Ghost custody, which we'll see a bit more than in future episodes. But it's cool to see that I'm getting kind of Robots in Disguise 2015 vibes from this, where we're kind of getting like Decepticon of the Week vibes, where we're dealing with a new Decepticon or new threat every single episode, and it's really cool to see. So after that, Robbie and Mo just sort of fawn over Twitch and Thrash and their new alt modes and how safe they are, and eventually it's at this point where it seems as though Optimus is still insistent on sending Twitch and Thrash back to Ghost, but Dot insists that basically with Twitch and Thrash being bonded to Robbie and Mo, that essentially makes Twitch and Thrash her children as much as Robbie and Mo are, and refuses to let Optimus take them away, which Optimus is totally fine with, and he decides to let Twitch and Thrash stay hidden with the Maltos as like sort of a secret from Ghost, that they won't find out about them and take them away from Robbie and Mo. And then the episode ends with Optimus assigning Bumblebee to become a mentor to Twitch and Thrash, which will be seen a lot more of in the next episode, which is focused heavily on Bumblebee, and I think we get a good view into Bumblebee's like character in this franchise in that episode, which is really cool to see. And honestly, this was a great premiere to EarthSpark, definitely the better half of these two episodes, and I'm super excited to see where the series goes from here. And so that was my review of Transformers EarthSpark Season 1, Episode 2, Secret Legacy Part 2. If I took this episode easily, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Everything about this was absolutely perfect. Twitch and Thrash are set up a lot more, and we really get to see a sense of who they are as characters compared to Part 1, which is more so focused on Robbie and Mo. Robbie and Mo still actually get a lot of character development in this episode as well, and I love their relationship with not only Twitch and Thrash, but also their parents, and also how Dot interacts with both Megatron and Optimus. I love everyone in this episode. The fight scene with Optimus, Megatron, Dot, and Optimus versus Mandroid, all the Insecticons and such, was so good, and I love absolutely the music. The music, I think, is done by a studio called Studio Effect. I saw a tweet about it earlier today, and their music is absolutely phenomenal. And the tweet explains that they actually were influenced by 80s synth music and more cyberpunky music when creating the EarthSpark soundtrack, and I can totally see it. It's awesome, easily the best soundtrack of any Transformers show, and I'm super excited to see more. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this review of Transformers EarthSpark. I'll be back soon with Episode 3, Moving In. If you like this review, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you guys later.